Buff Nation, we have a huge weekend coming up against the University of Utah Utes. They're coming into town, but we also got Big Noon Kickoff that's going to be in Boulder. And what we're finding out today is quite exciting. Truly, an IMG pipeline is coming out here to visit, filled with 5 stars, 4 stars, and I'm sure we'll be finding out more, but this is turning out to be a really important recruiting weekend for Colorado. We're going to break it all down for you guys, all the recruiting news and updates that you need to know, alongside an in-depth preview of Colorado facing the Utah Utes, live on Facebook for the first time. Y'all be sure to check in if you're tuning in there. Without further ado, guys, here with my co-host Russ from Buffs News Weekly. Russ, how you doing tonight, man?
Man, I am doing great. Like, it is so exciting right now. It just seems like every single day it gets more and more exciting and awesome to be a Buffs fan right now. And after decades of just absolute terribleness and being a laughing stock of college football, we now get the last laugh as we are on top of the world. And I can't wait. How are you feeling this wonderful week, Dave?
It's pretty surreal, man. Gotta be honest. I mean, it's just crystal ball. June was coming later this week. It's fantastic to see. Just it just feels so good. It feels so good with what we went through last year. Especially what we went through last year. People making fun of us, people dropping all sorts of ridiculous, baseless articles and hit pieces on this program, on Coach Prime. He shut up everybody. He shut up all of these people that have said you can only build a college football program one way. Hey, I think Coach Prime is showing that you can do it a handful of different ways, but what's really important is that you stick to your guns, and that's what we're doing. I mean, we get a fantastic victory against Texas Tech in a really rowdy environment. Some calls weren't going our way, maybe some calls weren't going their way, but hey, I think we saw they shouldn't have scored that second touchdown, man. That ball was out. Ridiculous that we didn't get that sort of call. But when you're able to throw trash on the field, Russ, the entire game. Again, I got no issue with a rowdy environment to an extent, but I was bummed to see Texas Tech fans saying that the Buffs got a favorable whistle. Have you been watching any of our games this year? What'd you think about that, man?
No, I was right there with you. I said that after the game. Like, it went both ways. The refs were just absolutely horrendous, period. That's the big thing. That was an absolute disgrace of a reffing crew, and they should never ref again. All the way starting at the beginning of the game when they made Shador put on a shirt in warmups after, he's kind of had the same routine all season long and never had an issue. You knew when that happened that the day was not going to go well. And it was just one thing after another. And then to hear the referee, and I mean, I went off on this on Sunday, to hear the referee when Coach Prime says, hey, our guys are getting pelted with water bottles and stuff on the sideline. Can you do something? For the ref to say, oh, well, your kids are blowing kisses after they score a touchdown. That does not make it okay. I don't care what you did after scoring a touchdown. It never makes it okay to throw things as a fan onto the field at players. What universe do you live in? And so hearing that and seeing that and seeing Coach Prime's response, which 100% justified, just goes to show how absolutely atrocious that reffing crew was. Yes, they missed the blatant face mask on the sack in the fourth quarter. But like I said, I really wish they had at least, reviewed. I don't know if they did a super review or what they did on that touchdown, but at least go and look at it. Like, for us to have to go back after the game and look at it closely and be like, that was a lot closer than we thought. That warranted a replay. For it not to get that, again, it just goes to show that was just, they were not able to control that game whatsoever.
No. It really just does show the resilience of this team, man. We're We're handling those road environments better and better as the year goes on. And man, I know I don't want to dive too quickly into it right now, but I'm really looking forward to this matchup against Utah. It's been a long time coming. I put on my thumbnail before this, Russ. The Buffs smell blood in the water. This is a team where I rarely come out and say this, but this is a team that we should come out and absolutely destroy. I want to see them quit on the field just like we made the Arizona Wildcats quit on the field, and there's going to be a lot at stake for us to put on a good show.
This should be the biggest win margin of the season. And again, we're not speaking hyperbolically. Like, I have all the respect in the world to Utah as a program. I have all the respect in the world to the coach of Utah. I mean, when we talked about this game in the offseason, I said it was going to be the toughest game of the season. But unfortunately, Utah has been completely ravaged by injuries. And the injury bug just reared its head again this week, knocking out again their backup quarterback for the season, alongside their number one offensive weapon, I like to say. I know people say the running back, but their tight end, who scored 2 touchdowns last week in the BYU game, he is also out for the season. And so it just keeps coming and coming and coming. This is not the Utah of last year, which is sad because we almost beat Utah last year with Ryan Staub at quarterback. And here we come with the momentum, with everything going right, with Shedeur and Travis ready to go. Like, there is no reason that this is a massive margin of victory. And in all honesty, we've talked about this a few times this season. If we don't do what we need to do in this game and really take it to them, that is not a good sign for who we are. Like, this is the type of game where we go in there, we put our foot on their throats, and we end this game from the get-go. And there is no time or chance for people to say Utah was in that game whatsoever.
Yeah. There's too much at stake, Russ, just like you broke it down. Like, it's important. We got a lot to play for. But before we dive in too much into the details, you've been the recruiting guy. I mean, you were live, about 2 hours ago, talking about just the insane news coming out of nowhere that we got all these visits from IMG popping up. Why don't you break it down for us? And I can handle the visuals if we need to share the screen or whatever.
Yeah, no. It has been an interesting 48 hours. I know you went live yesterday to talk about the Julian Lewis visit to Georgia. You do not need to worry, Buffs fans. That is not a big deal. I said it on my stream, Dave. What I've loved to see, and I don't know if you've seen this, Georgia fans are commenting on it. And rather than like come after us Colorado fans or USC fans, they are all saying the same thing. He's going there for a free ticket. We're not recruiting him. Like, they even know it. No Georgia fan is saying, oh, we've got a chance at Julian Lewis. No, they understand what this is. And in all honesty, I want to say that it's a little bit of a smokescreen. I don't know how much of a smokescreen it is. I think it's just Julian Lewis in his backyard, not having to travel. I want to go to one of the most popular football games in the country this weekend. I'm not able to travel because of the playoffs. Let's, go enjoy this game. So with that being said, we had all the crystal balls for Julian Lewis this week. We're up to 4 crystal balls total.
Oh,
okay?
Yeah.
Every national pundit and then Adam Munster Tiger locally has given the crystal ball to Julian Lewis to Colorado. Okay.
So Adam dropped it.
It was either Adam or was it who's the other one? Shoot, I can't even remember. One of the local guys did.
We had a local guy do it. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. They also matched it, but that was after Wilt Fong and those guys put out their crystal balls. So that's where I'm thinking, hey, this is a done deal. And for this to happen this week, and now all of a sudden the news that we get today, I am thinking we are getting some massive momentum. And I also believe that Julian Lewis is already committed, Dave. I think he is a silent commit. I think the team knows. I think the recruits are finding out about it. And that's why they're coming. So the big news today, 2 recruits that were here 2 weeks ago are all of a sudden back in Boulder We literally find out today they are on campus as we speak.
Tom Loy talking about this.
Well, Tom Loy was really late because it was us fans that found out first. Because again, people on campus just knew and saw them. And then Adam Munster Tiger did write an article, and then the national people picked it up. But they were so late in this because, again, they keep saying that we don't have a chance on some of these guys. The big one is London Merritt. That one is, I think, a lock. I think he's a lock for Colorado. He has been a lock. That one's not as big of a deal that he's on campus. I truly do. I think we are in great shape with him. I think that's going to be a flip from Ohio State to Colorado. Now, the other one is one that people this week have said we're out. They've said he is locked in at Michigan, and that's Boateng. Boateng, the linebacker from IMG, who, by the way, this dude is a man. Like, he is already a man. That guy can come in and start next year at linebacker easily. So everything has been trending towards Michigan. He got some crystal balls to Michigan.
Yep.
It's just looking like that. For him to all of a sudden show up on campus again in 2 weeks and right after Julian Lewis commits, that to me tells me that maybe we're picking up a little bit of momentum. We were a late offer on him.
Yeah.
I've loved these last couple weeks, Dave, because we keep offering all of these people in the last couple weeks who are hard commits elsewhere. We don't do that lightly. That is done for a reason. It is obvious that we've had conversations with them. There is a high likelihood of them signing. And I think the biggest thing is it all relates to the Julian Lewis saga and what is happening in recruiting. So these two back on campus this weekend, back visiting the team for multiple days because it's only Wednesday. They're going to probably be here till the weekend to watch the game. But then the other big breaking news of who is coming to visit this weekend, Michael Carroll, the 5-star #1 inside offensive lineman guard in the 2025 class, Jordan Seaton's teammate from last season, is going to be in Boulder for the very first time. And that came absolutely out of nowhere. Okay.
Yeah, this is shocking, man.
This is what we've been talking about. We said this. There is going to be a surprise player that comes out of nowhere. And I've heard a bunch of people, thinking who it was. Nobody said Michael Carroll was going to be that flip. And if I'm being honest, Dave, it is perfect. It is perfect. Because I guarantee you, this guy I've watched his tape. He looks like Jordan Seaton. He plays like Jordan Seaton. He's nasty like Jordan Seaton. This guy can come in and start next year at guard next to Jordan Seaton. And we will have an unbelievable left side of our offensive line for the next 2 to 3 years. Absolutely dominant left side of that line, which again lends to the credence of that line's going to look really good blocking for Julian Lewis. What are your thoughts so far on these 3 recruits? I know you've looked into them in the past, but now seeing that they're back or they're coming to visit Boulder this weekend out of nowhere, what does that tell you with, your history and knowledge of everything that's been going on?
Man, it's truly exciting, man. And I love the fact that all 3 of these guys that you just walked us through, London Merritt, a top 15 guy at his position. NOB, Boateng, another top 15 guy at his position. Michael Carroll, the top guy at his position. All these guys are IMG players. And then you also have here, of course, somebody that I've talked a lot about over this week, Alexander McPherson. Not as highly regarded as those guys, but man, I would love to have him out here. No doubt about it. I think it is pretty exciting when you have right now, I think Jordan Seaton, obviously starting at left tackle, and he has been fantastic. Phil Oldholt getting these guys right. But you also got Cash Cleveland now I think he should be the starter moving forward, right? And given a scholarship, you can't have a guy like that staying a walk-on. No way. And again, Devin Rispris, George Hageman, like you got guys that have been with the IMG program for a long time that are now on staff here. So it was only a matter of time. But I think with the winning comes the recruiting. If you build it, they will come, right? And again, credit to the guys who came here last year that kind of had to, in a sense, have a little bit more belief, behind their decision to come here before the big time results started coming. But now, I mean, once this ball is rolling, I mean, it's hard to slow down the momentum. So, man, I would love to get some of these guys to hopefully flip. I mean, wouldn't that just be absolutely incredible to have multiple blue chip guys come in here, and that's on top of a recruiting class that right now with the certain commits that we have, I'm pretty excited about. Like Chauncey Gooden's another interior lineman that can be a foundational piece in this offensive line moving forward, in addition to a guy like Michael Carroll. And let's not forget also his recruitment has kind of been all over the place, but still a really interesting DB that I hope commits here. But Byron Baldwin, 4-star safety. He has originally he was committed to Indiana, decommitted, crystal balled here by multiple people, then crystal balled back to Indiana, I think a week or two ago. And now he's making his decision or announcement on Friday. And I would imagine that we're still in the running, but I'm not really sure how to read that one. But all that to say, there's just so much more momentum at this point right now than we had last year. And just wait till the transfer portal season hits.
We're just getting started. Like, this is ridiculous. I mean, the momentum, like you said, I mean, it wasn't until like after the season that the Jordan Seaton stuff really picked up. And now we've got the Julian Lewis stuff. Brady, I agree. He does look 37 and DeForest. He is a grown man, but we now have all this momentum, and it is simply because they are seeing, and I said this earlier, and I 100% believe it, and I hope everybody else notices this, but Coach Prime does not tell lies. He tells it as it is. Every single thing that Coach Prime has ever said has happened. Okay? The way that he was going to build this team, the way that they were going to perform, the way that they were going to improve, how he was going to go out and get the right people at those coaching positions. They were going to get the right recruits and transfers in this year to improve the team. And what happened? The team has delivered. We're 7-2. Like, we have a chance at the Big 12 championship. If I'm all these recruits, I'm saying to myself, you know what? When Coach Prime talks to me and wants to recruit me, he is being 100% honest with me about everything he says to me. When other coaches may fib to players or say lies or say different things, like Coach Prime is real. He has my best interest at heart. It isn't solely about winning. It is about how do I get you developed and get to the next level. And as a result of doing that, you're going to win games. It's just as simple as that. But it's not, I'm going to win no matter what. And I'm just going to, who cares about development? I just want to win. That's not the case. And so to see what's happening right now with these players, the momentum we're creating, what we're hearing, like, this is an unbelievable time. Like, I can't believe we're having these discussions here at the end of a season while we're sitting 7-2.
It feels like an embarrassment of riches compared to so many seasons that we've gone through as Buffs fans, right? It's hard to comprehend it all in the brain, all happening at the same time, man. But I want to get to these super chats here really quick, Russ. Again, thank you, Coach Barry, for the kind donations. He's saying here, Cash Cleveland tagged Seaton and reached out to Michael Carroll, another IMG player. We also got Brett Colajay in the class of 26, and that would be fantastic if we can get his commitment down the line as well. You know, a Matt McChesney guy, which is always really cool. Colorado kid. Love to see that. And then, of course, Coach Barry keeping us up to date here. Again, thank you so much. Brendan Rose out for the season due to injury. That's right. It's going to be the Isaac Wilson show, and we'll get to the preview here after we finish up the recruiting stuff. But yeah, what if I told you Isaac Wilson was the most accurate passer on the Utah Utes this season at a nice 55% completion percentage? That is the case right now. So, yeah, things I think are lining up for the Buffs. I think we smell blood in the water. And on the recruiting end, I mean, it's going to be really important for us to go out there, put on a really strong showing. And again, like these guys are seeing now, BJ Green being talked about all the time, right? You're seeing Arden Walker, Samuel Okunloa get their flowers as well. Taj McCoy has kind of been one of our poster child or children on the team, so to speak, for just the development of just 3-star guys with how he's been playing. And so I bet some of these IMG guys can see not only can you come to the Big 12, dominate, like Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter can and go to the NFL, but I think it lays the groundwork and shows how if you choose to come here, you're going to be one of the most watched teams in the country. We're the only team to be on network television the entire season long. And this is truly just the baseline for where we're going to be going. And I think that there's a lot of power here that Coach Prime holds. He's like the kingmaker, man, with this thing now truly moving in the right direction. You got the results behind it. Now you can't really shit on it, right? I mean, what are people going to say? Oh, well, you won't have Shedeur next year. Okay, like we know that. But we've seen, I think, and you'll see it through the recruiting, that we're going to be able to build a complete football team. The results are there now at this level. And once he returns, once he's still here in January, then people will stop talking about, oh, man, he's going to leave to play with his kids, right? That whole thing's going to go out the window here real soon.
Yeah, and I mean, to comment on a few things that I've been seeing going on in the chat, the super chat in regards to Brett Koleje, Matt's been talking about him this week on his show.
Yeah.
Says that the recruiting effort for him has gone through the roof. Breck told him that literally now in the last couple weeks, he is talking to Colorado on a daily basis, whether it's the recruiting staff, whether it's Coach Lodeholt, they are going hard after Breck. My guess is we do end up with him. The same with Deacon, who is another dungeon, kid for 2026, another offensive lineman. Dave, we're finally doing what we've been asking for decades, which is Colorado is well known for our offensive linemen. Okay, they develop very well. They are not, fly off the page 5 stars out of high school, but they're guys who are starting for the best programs in the country their junior and senior year and dominating. So if we can throw a few of those guys into the cupboards for, a couple years down the road, that is what you do to develop an offensive line. It's one of the few positions in college football that I do believe is more of a high school thing than it is a transfer portal thing, as we've seen. Transfer portal is just all over the place. And if you're truly a good offensive lineman, they will pay you to stick around because you are a dime. Like, you are literally a very important thing. Whereas a receiver is a dime a dozen, a running back is a dime. Like, you can get those everywhere. They fall off trees, right? Mm-hmm. So an offensive lineman's not that case. You're not going to just let somebody walk out. And then the other comment I saw was about, Rick George opening his checkbook. I mean, we heard this week that it looks like, we could get NIL to around $20 million ready to go for Colorado. And so
who said that?
I can't remember where I saw that. I saw something with Rick George where they interviewed him or somebody else did. I got to go find it again because we were talking about it in another group chat. Just how, it's coming. The checkbooks are opening. The boosters are seeing what's up. And the biggest kind of draw to why this is happening is when you talk about blood in the water, we're also seeing blood in the water when it comes to the Big 12. We are about to completely dominate the Big 12 for years to come. Like, there is not going to be a team that's going to be able to out recruit us, out get the transfer portal, none of that. And what is that going to lead to? Total domination of this conference and an easy path to the college football playoff year after year.
A first round bye in the college football playoff every year. That's what I'm talking about. Dynasty. I
mean, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, Coach Barry did do that. So he confirmed. We heard it somewhere. But it was confirmed that they're up to 20 mil, which tells me, hey, the pocketbooks are opening. We're starting. And oh, by the way, quick plug to everybody, because it got announced today. There is a Buffs credit card now that you guys can get, and it does support the NIL. So if you guys want to get yourself the coolest looking card, I will admit it does look pretty darn slick. You do support the NIL with every single swipe of the card, 4 cents back. That's pretty darn good. Do other schools do that? Like, I don't know if I've heard of that before.
Some of them have that. Yeah. Some of the local, I think some of them do. But you know what the Buffs need? They need to partner with an airline where you can help out the Buffs as well as get those points to go see them on the road. That's what I really want to see. But this is a great start with the Visa signature card. I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, we have some exciting stuff happening. What's absolutely crazy right now is just, I mean, this momentum. I mean, does everybody in the chat feel it? I mean, do you feel it right now? Like, this feeling as a Buffs fan, like, there's one thing, that feeling we got after the TCU win, it was like, here it is. It's finally happening. We're back, and then the rest of the season, just up and down, off season, always getting the crap from other teams that, we're not going to get this player or whatever. USC fans all summer saying that we have no chance at Julian Lewis. And of course, Dave, I'm sure you've seen that they've been pushing that goalpost the last week when it comes to him flipping. It's just been a fun time. I can't believe this is real life.
Just to see, man, the football gods reward Buff Nation this year and punish FSU for their arrogance and USC for their arrogance. And, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing when you start seeing Trojan fans saying, oh yeah, this guy's not coming to us anymore because he wants to chase the bag. What? Are we really going that direction, Trojans fans? Nah, man. Sometimes I hate that when people talk about recruits this way. They're just using so-and-so for clout. Oh, they're just using so-and-so so we can get a bigger bag. No, man. Sometimes you just want to go to a better program. And right now, Colorado's on the rise. I do need to get to a couple of these super chats, Russ, and then maybe we comment on these, and then since we're about halfway in, we can get into our Utah preview and talk a little bit about that. First, shout out to Chairman A. Really does mean a lot. Sending the $10. Says shout out to Dave and Russ, man. Wishing his blessings to you and your family. Judging from well-off videos, it's looking like Shador is going to be looking for the deep throws, bro. And now I'm worried if the O-line can hold. We'll definitely get into that with Utah's defensive line, but they ain't just going to roll over, even though they're held together with some tape and staples right now. They're going to try and muck this game up. Comments, Russ?
No. I mean, we'll get into it here in a second when we get to the preview, but go with the next super chat here.
Yeah, this is related to recruiting. Again, thank you so much, Eric, for the $5. He says, hey, fellas, when y'all hear about Juju going to Georgia, what comes to or when y'all hear about Juju going to Georgia, what comes to mind? Just that he's from Georgia. It's not too far of a drive away. like really, that's kind of what I make of it, man. Their quarterback room is loaded right now. So I don't think he goes or says he's not going to Georgia because he's scared of competition. I'm not one of those guys. But Georgia has a lot of ground to make up, basically not recruiting him over this past year or so.
Yeah, I don't worry about it, guys. Like I truly think the timing on that was kind of interesting as well. I mean, literally 3 crystal balls drop, and an hour later, it's announced that he's going on an unofficial visit. Not even an official visit to Georgia. Like, come on, like,
Yeah.
don't worry about it, guys. It's trying to freak you out, Buffs fans. RELAX, as Aaron Rodgers said. Relax.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And lastly, Coach Berrigan, thank you so much. He's saying, yeah, USC just got put on probation 1 year and 550 grand for some violations. Too many coaches in spring practices. It's interesting. It's just interesting what programs are fined and targeted. But Lincoln Riley, a disaster. What is going on at USC? Total cultural issues. Will we start to see some hit pieces on USC this offseason and FSU? Will these fans have to suffer the way that they put us through suffering this past offseason? I sure hope so.
It is. It's a culture problem, Dave. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on there at USC. I think it needs to be studied. I think Lincoln Riley's jumping to the NFL with Caleb Williams. I don't think he's going to stick around. What else? What am I missing as far as comments go? I think that covers most of it. But yes, USC in absolute disarray. Also, Dave, this week, a couple other things. Nebraska changed coordinators mid-season. What's going on with Nebraska? I think that's the end of them. That's not okay mid-season, right? That doesn't ever happen.
Yeah, and they might not make a bowl game, man, which is crazy. I said that they'd be a 10-win team. Look at me with egg on my face.
You know, if I could have gone back to the beginning of the season and said, hey, you're going to get killed by Nebraska, but the season will end up like it is, I might take that.
Yeah, I was upset in the moment, but I'm definitely loving the era that we're in right now. We're flourishing. It's been a lot of fun, and that's why in the Pac-12 again, why this matchup means so much to me, and probably you too, Russ. But the Pac-12, I mean, Utah embarrassed us so many weeks, so many years. Man, they made us look like the doormat of the conference, which honestly we were most years. And this is a program. I mean, you saw the just another series of just mind-blowing, ignorant comments from their athletic director this weekend after losing the Holy War. It's crazy, but this is Utah. I mean, that is Utah. That's kind of their MO over the years since they've been in the Pac-12 is just, they want to carry them. They literally believe they're like Texas of the West. And, they've done this all with former Texas quarterback Cameron Rising on the roster. But now, as you've seen, I mean, they just cannot rely on him to stay healthy anymore. I think he might come back still for 9 years, incredibly like 7-year medical rapture. This is a team that is, while I believe Kyle Whittingham is one of the better coaches in college football, I have said best in the past. But now you got 2 years of him just not being able to work around injuries to their quarterback. And I start to have some questions. But ultimately, this is still a very well-coached football team. Their defense is the best in the Pac-12 or in the Big 12 right now. That is something to definitely respect. But you have to wonder if this defense is going to be on the field quite a bit with just an absolutely anemic offense right now. General thoughts going into this matchup?
Yeah, well, Dave, I mean, speaking of that history with Utah, when was the last time that Colorado beat Utah?
You tell me.
That would be 2016, which was also the season of what?
Hey, it was the rise, right? It was the rise. That's what we're talking about, baby.
That victory helped us, kind of walk into the Pac-12 championship. Now, did that go very well? No, it didn't go very well at all. But the fact is that the last time we did this, it was a very, very big deal to beat them. And so I'm ready. I'm ready right now. The last, decade of games against Utah, we have one win against Utah. in a number of competitions. So it's no slouch to beat them. And I agree with what you said. The defense is going to be very good. That defensive line is very good. Injuries are eating away a little bit at their secondary. So maybe that helps. I really do hope. But again, I'm optimistic after last week. Seeing the team see that screens were working so well against that team in Texas, and then seeing the team just say, you know what? All screens. We're just going to throw the same thing over and over again. And as long as it keeps working, I have a feeling that they can adjust. And what worked last year for Staub was the short passing game. Mm-hmm. Get rid of the ball, get the ball out of the quarterback's hands, use your playmakers against that secondary, keep the defensive line out of the game and see what happens. And really, truthfully, if I'm being honest, we won that game because, the refs took away both those touchdowns to Travis. But you got Staub playing quarterback last year. I'm feeling pretty good about Shedeur being in this game finally and us being somewhat healthy. I will put that in asterisks because it seems like more and more players are getting injured without us really knowing.
Yeah. It's again, I feel like their defense, they're gonna try and muddy the waters here, make this a low scoring affair, just like you saw in the Holy War, which I hope some of you guys stayed up late to watch it Saturday night. It was a great game, man. It was really awesome. Even though it benefited Colorado, I think for BYU to lose, I'm not lying to you guys. I was cheering for BYU to come back and beat the Utes. Not lying at all there, but they have a very strong defense. They're still playing for bowl eligibility, so it's not like this team has completely given up. Right? They still have bowl eligibility available, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, 4 and 5. Yep. So they need to win 2 out of their last 3 to get to bowl eligibility. And, they come in here, honestly, with no pressure. I mean, I imagine that they're going to be a double-digit dog by the time Saturday rolls around. I think, right now, it's like a 9.5.
They're 10.5.
It's 10.5 now. Okay.
Yeah. The last time I looked, it was 10.5. It's double digit.
Yeah. And again, this is they're so bad on the offensive side that it doesn't even really worry me that their defense is probably going to be able to stop our offense on some of these drives. But again, with how our defense is coming together, with the next man up, Deion Hayes is out. No biggie. Shane Cokes is out. No biggie. We went up against one of the best running backs last week and shut him down until, honestly, it was kind of garbage time. Not totally, but it was like half garbage time there in the fourth quarter where he started getting going. But ultimately, I thought our defense played really, really well. And I think that this is a matchup to where my expectation is that we're forcing a handful of 3-and-outs with that Utah offense. And while that defense might start out strong and they're used to the altitude, if the time of possession is going to get out of whack at some point in that game, that's kind of when I see Colorado pulling away.
I 100% agree with you on that assessment because I think that's exactly what we're playing for this weekend. Utah's offense and how good our defense has been playing, those combination, there should be no excuse for our defense to have probably their most dominant performance. And outside of those 3-and-outs, I believe that we're going to see a lot of turnovers. I think we're going to see a lot of turnovers. I think we're going to get to the quarterback a lot because Isaac Wilson is, I think, a little bit different than Brandon Rose was. I was a little worried about Brandon Rose. He's a little bit speedy. Could move around pretty well. I think this actually, this is a huge benefit for Colorado to get the, pocket passer back in after not having played for so long this season, coming off the bench after being benched at the beginning of the season. unless, just all of a sudden, hero game, it just lines up really well for our team to kind of feast and eat and continue doing what they're doing. The only question will be, can the offense, get going? Can they figure themselves out? Can they not get in these ruts that we're seeing time and time again? The offense is very feast or famine. It's like up and down. Like it's up for a couple drives, score, no scores the rest of the game.
Right.
No score. Now score out of the second half. Like we just go, it goes in bunches. And I want to see a performance from us where we don't do more than 1 3 and out in a row, where we're getting multiple first downs, where we're driving the ball down the field and ending with points almost every single drive. That's what I want to see out of that offense. And I think we're going to see it this week. I think they're going to figure it out. I think that, the offensive players are going to have a really good night. I think Travis is going to have a really, really good night and a bounce back performance. I think that Isaac Wilson is dumb enough to throw at Travis Hunter at least a couple times on Saturday.
Can we hope for that? He needs some more interceptions to his Heisman resume. That needs
at least 1 or 2. Although, last week
needs a pick 6.
Oh, pick 6 and he wins the Heisman. Right there. The Heisman, it's as Coach Prime would say, it's chilling at the crib waiting for him when he gets home. Like if he gets a pick 6 at any point in the next 3 games, the Heisman is Travis's 100%.
Yeah, I wanted to pull up here some of the stats here from Isaac Wilson. So you guys just have kind of a general idea of what's going on. But again, he's been their most accurate passer with 55.4 completion percentage, average of 6.8 yards per attempt, which actually that's what Shedeur had this past game, which is very uncommon for him. But again, due to just tearing up those jailbreak screens and stuff like that. I mean, Will Shepherd was just on a roll, right? LeJontay, Travis, they all had their moment in the screen game, but 8 TDs to 8 interceptions. He kind of, he's a true freshman, 4-star rated guy, but definitely a little raw coming in and might not be his brother, might not be his older brother at BYU, and has shown himself to be quite turnover prone, as well as this is something to take note of. Last week, Brandon Rose didn't take a sack at all against BYU. That's something to notice. Isaac Wilson, 14 sacks. So he's somebody that can hold on to the ball quite a bit. I have watched some Utah games, watch some Utah games, and yeah, he can hold on to the ball. So as long as we're able to get pressure, which is something that I think now, Russ, we can have confidence in us doing against most, if not all, offensive lines in the Big 12, right? This should be a nice day for our defense, and hopefully we're generating a lot of turnovers because they're going to play through their running back, Micah Bernard, really good running back. But like you pointed out, it's Dorian Singer and kind of a bunch of other guys at this point with their tight end. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
It's Kuthi. Yep.
Kuthi out. So Travis Hunter will take on Dorian Singer.
The funny thing is, many of them do not consider Dorian Singer their best receiver. And Kuthi is not the only one that is out injured for Utah. They are missing 2 of their receivers from the last look that I saw. I got to double check who they were.
Micah Pittman going to play?
See, I don't know. I need to find a good, they're one of the few that actually put in an injury report. So let's see.
He hasn't played in a couple weeks.
So Parks is out.
Wow.
Is he their number 2?
Yeah, their number 2 most productive receivers, Parks.
Yeah, their receiving core is just completely decimated. They've got a running back, and that's about it. So Parks is out. As far as who else, they're starting cornerback, I believe. Kay Johnson is out. And then, 3 quarterbacks are showing up as injured, but I guess Isaac Wilson is healthy enough to play. That's something to keep an eye on. He's a little bit banged up as well.
He's taking a lot of hits.
So can you imagine like we get a couple sacks on him and they knock Isaac Wilson out of the game? Like, who's their 4th string quarterback? Is it the water boy? Like,
maybe I wonder if that dude that played us last year is still on the team. Wasn't he a walk-on quarterback? He might have graduated though, but
yeah,
that was tough. But yeah, if Wilson goes down, I imagine you're just going to see a lot of running. Regardless of the score.
And we saw that last year, which by the way, again, let's remind everybody in the chat of how bad that game was last year. Oh, they had 53 attempts and were averaging over 5 yards a pop on 53 attempts.
It's crazy.
Like, are you kidding me? Like,
they got the ball with like 8 minutes left or something and ran out the clock.
Like, that whole game I was watching, I was like, this is embarrassing. Nobody's stopping. Like, we know the run is coming. We're bringing everybody up, and they're still pushing us back.
Mm-hmm.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Yep. And right now, they're still very reliant on the run game, 150 yards.
Where does that rank
on
them?
The ground? Say what?
Where does that rank them if you filter by that? Where does that put them?
So kind of middle of the pack right there. Okay. But they might be last or second to last in passing. No, I guess, wow, there are some bad passing teams. Okay. So they're right around Kansas State with 212. Yeah, let's not make Isaac Wilson look like Avery Johnson did against us, right? That needs to be a goal.
And I don't think that'll happen. I think it's a much different team than what we played against Kansas State. Like, I would love somehow for Kansas State to get back in that conference championship game to get a rematch against them, especially if we had a healthy Travis and Jimmy, playing for that game. I can only imagine how angry our team would be to play them. Like, that would be the ultimate, rematch, because I think that team would go in with a little bit of chip on their shoulder. But honestly, Dave, I looked through this conference. I've been watching these games. Nothing impresses me right now. Like, there is not one thing in this conference that impresses me. BYU, and they're undefeated. Like, they've almost lost like 4 or 5 games where they've gotten lucky right at the end and pulled out a victory. So, like, even them, if we played them in the conference championship, I am not too worried that if we play our absolute best, we don't beat every single team in this conference.
We're peaking at the right time. At the right time. And I think that, kind of looking at the defense here, guys, again, like Utah, top in the conference, 307 yards a game. They're only allowing 17.1. It's going to be interesting to see how this defense matches up against our offense. But I really think that this is a statement game for our offense, man. Like, I'm expecting us to still put up some points, man. And truly, I want to see them, like you said, come out and play a complete game of football where all 3 phases are showing out, because it's going to help with the college football playoff rankings. It's going to help, again, obviously getting the dub towards the Big 12 title game. But then also, you got a handful of blue chip recruits in town for this weekend. It's a huge showcase. You want to show Utah who the daddy in this new conference is, and Utah might have been the daddy in the Pac-12. Yeah, but
it's over.
Yeah, but this is a new era. And it's time for the black and gold to make a statement. So, like, their defense, no joke. They're going to try and muddy things up, like I've been saying. There might be some drives that we have in which that, totally stall out. But my expectation is that this offense, I believe they totally knew how they left so many points on the board last week in Lubbock, Russ. with how the
Oh,
defense
yeah.
is forcing those turnovers, giving them great field position, and they just didn't finish, man. Like, truly, let's bounce back this week and truly capitalize on what I feel like is going to be a fantastic performance from our defense against, an offense that's just kind of held together by tape right now.
And just real quick, in case people are wondering, a little bit of a weather report for Saturday.
Yeah.
Clear skies, sunny, high of 48, which will be achieved around noon. So the high will be during the game. That 10 to 1 o'clock space will be the warmest part of the day. So we're not playing late at night when it's supposed to be below freezing. It's going to be decent. And you and I know, as Coloradans, we know that a 50-degree weather is actually pretty darn nice. It is not the 50-degree that people in the South deal with, where it's wet and gross and really cold. No, it is a nice day. They will be perfectly fine. I'm happy to report that, the recruits are going to get to see maybe the last bit of snow that happened, because it looks like it's supposed to be sunny for the next couple of days in Boulder. So the snow will probably be gone by game time. We're just going to get a nice, wonderful day in Boulder. The recruits are going to get to see Boulder in all its glory. And I feel like it is a good weekend for a Buffs dominating win.
I love it. Well, shall we get to our predictions, and then we can cover the super chats that I have neglected? So sorry, y'all, but we'll get to them.
Yeah. Well, how about you go first? Let me know your offensive player of the game, since I went first last week on my offensive player.
Oh man, offensive player of the game. I'm not going to say Jimmy Horn. I do wonder if he sits this week, because it's going to be very important for us not to look ahead. But Kansas is getting hot right now, and honestly, about time. They were supposed to be a player in this conference, and they didn't wake up until here last month of the season. So I want to make sure Jimmy's all good to go against Kansas. So for my player of the game, Will Shepherd. Will Shepherd. Just gonna go with Will Shepherd, man. He's due for I think another big game. He had a touchdown and led us in receiving last game, of course, but I got a feeling that he's starting to stack performances, and I could see him putting up his best game of his Buffs career this week.
That's a good one. I think I'm going to go a little off the board. I think that we are going to do so well on Saturday that my player of the game is going to be Isaiah Augustov.
Let's go.
I think that the running game is going to get going late in the game to kind of run things down. He's going to get the ball a decent amount on Saturday. And my prediction is we have our first 100-yard rusher on Saturday.
Beautiful. I love to hear that. Okay. What about defense? Is there a guy on defense that is your player to watch?
I mean, this is so difficult, because we could every week we could name 5 guys that had a great game. Like last week, Cam Silman-Craig, Taj McCoy, Sam Okunlola, BJ Green, Nakai Hill-Green had the ridiculous interception. But because of the style that Utah will play, because of I'm assuming they're not going to try and pass it as much and put the ball in Wilson's hand as much, I'm going to go with Nakai Hill-Green, because I think the linebacker is going to be the most important spot this game. I think that's going to be a big aspect to us being able to stop the run, but also being able to defend the pass, the quick pass over the middle that they might give to Wilson. So I think Nakai Hill-Green is going to be my player of the game.
Beautiful. I'm going to piss people off with this one. Shiloh Sanders, baby. Shiloh Sanders is involved in 2 turnover plays. He's involved, whether it's forcing or intercepting. Shiloh's going to have a game, man. That's my feeling about it. I want to see him ball out. It's going to be important for us to stop Bernard, this rushing attack, and it's time for the headache, gang. to silence the haters. I want to see it. So with that being said, Russ, have you thought about this prediction, your score prediction, anything like this? What did we even predict last week? I can't even remember.
I do, because I was almost spot on. I did 42-31.
Oh, and I had the same prediction as you.
You had almost near, I think. I think you gave them maybe a couple more points. We both said 42 for Colorado. I know that.
Oh yeah, I think I had them winning by 10. So
yeah,
something like that.
We were 1 point off. It was pretty much the same thing. But
yeah.
Hey, we were pretty darn close.
Yeah.
Pretty darn close.
I think we were. So what's your prediction for this game?
I'm gonna go 34, Colorado 34, Utah 10. 34-10 is what I'm going to go with. I'm giving the defense their love this week. I'm not going to do the absolute insane high score for the offense, because I think they'll pull back just a little bit. So I'm going to go 34-10.
I love it. Screw it. I feel like I'm always around like 31-0 Buffs. That's just what I'm gonna do.
What?
I mean, I would love to see us just finally pitch a shutout against the Utah Utes. This is the week to do it. Am I giving no respect to Utah? This prediction definitely does reflect no respect. And I want to see the Buffs come out and dominate. So going out on a limb on this one, Buffs, come on. There's too much on the line with the recruits, the college football playoff, all that. And now you can't have Dave with egg on his face next week if this thing gets out of hand. Whatever, we're going to score points. They're not going to score any. That's what I want to see.
If that happens, if they get a shutout, okay, we've got to do a post-game show and just have Dark Side Dave going off for like about an hour, because that's going to be quite a sight to see, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, this isn't my most, like at certain matchups, I get a little bit more analytical, take off the gold-colored glasses. This is not a show for that, man. I got a real axe to grind with Utah, and I really hope the Buffs take this matchup to heart and go out there and knock them down, man. Make them quit, just like we saw the Arizona Wildcats quit on the field, man.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see that. And by the way, the super chats just keep pouring in today.
Yeah, let's handle these again, guys. Thank you so much for your patience. Let me get started here. I'm just going from the earliest to the most current. So thanks again, Eric. Sending $5 your way, Russ. He's saying, what is your take on CU against some of these blue bloods? Because schools like Penn State or like a Miami is not much better in a neutral site. Yeah, where do you see us stacking up against some of the blue bloods across the country right now, Russ?
I mean, it's hard for me to say and be able to really tell. We don't have a lot of common opponents, things like that we can compare to. I think it's going to be just a completely shot in the dark if we get matched up against one of them. I do love the fact that it would be at a neutral site, because I'm sorry, I do not want to ever play Penn State in Happy Valley. That is like the dumbest thing a team can do by choice. Obviously, you're in the Big Ten, you don't get a choice. But if you're scheduling Penn State in Pennsylvania, heaven, help you. So that's one thing. Miami would be interesting if we went to Miami at some point. Like, I would love to have that as a home and away series later on, because I think Coach Prime would use that as a prime opportunity to be recruiting. I'm not sure. I will say this. If we get matched up against Miami, that will be the most watched football game of the entire year. I'm calling it right now.
I think it would be a lot of fun, man. Yeah, I mean, I think with Miami or these other ACC schools coming out like that, or that end up coming out into the college football playoff, I would feel like we'd stack up really well against them. There are some teams, more so like stylistically, the strength of different positions. Like I still think like a Georgia, a Texas, or like an Alabama or whatever would absolutely obliterate our offensive line right now. And so some of those defensive heavy teams do worry me in terms of like our ability to keep up. But I will say this, Russ, I would love to see any matchup, man. Like I think that there's a fighting chance at minimum in all these matchups if we're able to make the college football playoff. Again, really what it comes down to is can we protect Shador? And I think our defense is going to be giving a good effort and good showing here through the rest of the season. So who's to say? But stylistically, there are some programs out there that worry me more than others in the top 15 or so, top 12. Chairman A, thank you so much for the $5. He's saying our defense can handle Utah. I won't be worried with Kansas. We have to start off fast and stop their hopes and dreams. Man, no mercy. That's what I want to see. Let's pitch a shutout. The worst defense in college football last year, pitching a shut. I don't care who it's against. Pitching a shutout. That'd be a beautiful thing.
I want foot on throat. I want to just stomp on Utah, stomp the light out of their body, and just come away with a massive victory that will embarrass Utah fans after the years of embarrassment that we have faced against Utah.
Yeah, they've done this to us so many times, man. And it would be great if after a matchup like this, they just leave and go back to the Pac-12, right? You know, that would be great. You know, just get on out of here. But yeah, let's destroy them. And I want the Buffs to take this matchup personally. This matchup means a lot to Buff Nation. Not that it's been a rivalry, because like you said, you know, they've destroyed us. But it's time for them to know who their daddy is. And for some reason they want to talk like they're the University of Texas coming into this conference. And I just don't understand it. Coach Barry, $5. Utah offensive lineman Michael Mokofisi is got injured during the Houston game. Okay.
Let's just say that the hospital list for Utah is a mile long, and again, we have no excuse to BTA this team. If we are struggling, that is not a good sign. Something went wrong. Okay, guys, something went wrong.
Yeah. We got to bring it. Northside sending $5 your way, Russ, saying great show.
Appreciate you, Northside, as always.
And then we got a couple more $2 from Northside to you, Russ. He's saying, will TB move to DT permanently next year?
I mean, that's it depends on what happens in the offseason. It depends on who we bring in. It depends on how he does. It sounds like he might get some more play this weekend, is what we heard from Coach Prime and the different pressers. So, you know, if he comes out and balls out 100%, but I think he's just trying to find some place to belong on this team. And I think Coach Prime wants to find that for him because he's a hardworking dude. Like, there's no reason that he shouldn't be seeing some sort of playing time, but can we find a spot for him? Who knows? I'll be interested to see what happens in the offseason with TB.
No doubt about it. Yeah, I kind of echo that. I think right now we're going to lose a lot of guys on the defensive front this offseason, so he might have a little bit easier of a path to playing time on there. That might be a little bit more of an immediate position of need. But again, we don't even know what the transfer portal is going to look like yet, and we could bring in a whole two deep like we did this year, essentially, again, and see how that goes.
Just real quick, somebody said TB, it's his last year. It is not, because of the NCAA ruling last year. When he missed that year due to ineligibility, they gave him his eligibility back and gave him another year back. So TB at least has another year next year, so he can come back. A lot of people thought that he was going to do so well in the offensive line that he might make the jump to the next level. I don't think, unfortunately, he's done that enough this year, so I think he will be back.
Yeah, and yeah, I think, again, like I was impressed with how Tyler Brown has bounced back. I think he's played better over the last few games, but I think we need to be looking for probably 3 new starting offensive linemen this year. Again, it is helpful if some of those guys do return, just being veteran players. But that you want to make a serious run in the college football playoff. We can't have an offensive line to where you're just scared of some of these defensive lines. Not they're scared, but like us as fans, we're like, man, I don't know if our offensive line is going to hold up against something like a Georgia or something like that. I think we still need to be looking to build this offensive line up significantly, and it looks like that's what we're doing.
Especially if we go with a freshman quarterback next year. Yeah. I want to give him as much protection as possible. I want to give him more protection than even Shedeur had. Shedeur worked his body up to be able to take that beating. A freshman quarterback will not be able to withstand the type of hits.
You've seen with Isaac Wilson.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope, and again, I mean, the recruits this week tell me that we are prioritizing getting bigger, stronger, better on that offensive line. I have no problems with starting Michael Carroll at one of the guard positions if he came to Colorado. So he's one of the few freshmen that I could see start. But again, bring in some depth, bring in some freshmen, and have them battle it out, get the very best offensive line you possibly can out there and improve as much as you can.
Yeah, I think we'll see Benson return, Kareem Harden return, a handful of these veteran players, and they still might be the best guys immediately next year. But I think, again, you need to have some guys wait the pipeline, have a hot scene. Anyways, last one here, Northside saying CU's the new OU of the Big 12. I mean, OU had a pretty nice run here in the last decade here in the Big 12, and that would be nice. It would be nice, and I think that this recruiting weekend could put us in that direction quite a bit if all goes how we hope, right?
Yeah. Looks like there's 2 more super chats.
Oh, thank you.
Coach Barry and Harambe.
Yes, Harambe. Thanks again for the $2. Is it confirmed Preston Hodge tore his ACL? I haven't heard anything about that. Has Adam or any of the beat reporters talked about this?
The rumor is because in the most recent Reach the People video, Preston is seen in the back he's wearing his uniform, but he's not wearing the practice gear, and he has a massive brace on his knee. And it looks like the type that you would wear if you were waiting for ACL surgery. But again, we can't speculate. A lot of people are saying that, he tore his ACL because of that. There hasn't been public confirmation of that. So I won't speculate on that. We know that obviously something is ailing him, and we're not sure if he's going to play this weekend. But as we know, Coach Prime keeps those injuries close to the chest, and we never find out anything. Don't expect to get that confirmation until you see a Preston Hodge post in a hospital.
Yeah. And I imagine if, again, like Utah, I don't think they're going to do a ton of spread sets against us. We'll probably see a lot of 22 personnel sets. But, hey, if they are bringing a third wide receiver out there, maybe we see a little bit more of Carter or Colton Hood, some of these guys. But I wonder if this is more of a game for Carter Stoutmire, if they're going to be a little bit more tight end heavy. We'll have to see, but hopefully it's not that serious for Preston and we can see him on the field again later this year. But I think we do have some guys that can step up and play pretty well. But it's going to hurt not having him this week because he's been really good for us. Coach Barry, again, thank you for the $5. He says, let's hear it for Travis's brother, Travis Hunter, 5'7", 135, making noise as a high school sophomore. Not as tall and heavy as Travis yet, 6'1", 185, but he may get there. Yeah, put him on some steroids, man. He might get there.
I just love that their family named their kids this stuff. Travis, man. What are you doing to these
kids? Does he play both ways?
I don't know. I've seen some video of him. I really like what I saw. I think he's going to be a pretty good athletic wide receiver. Whether or not, he gets up to, 3-star, 4-star, whatever that may be. My bet is that he'll end up with Coach Prime at Colorado at some point.
Well, wouldn't that just be great? Maybe wearing the number 12.
might be an option for him.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
or then again, I mean, Dave, let's be honest. I think we should be retiring 12-2 after this season.
That's what we
For
should be
Colorado.
doing.
If Travis wins the Heisman, he's getting his jersey retired.
Yes, got to retire it. Hey, and who knows? Definitely got to retire it if we go on to win the national championship. But hey, let's dream big, baby. Let's just enjoy this year. Russ, thank you so much for joining me. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I mean, y'all are fantastic. Let's hope it's just an MCL sprain or something like that. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. We've had 500 people in here for most of the night, so please like and subscribe to the channels. Russ's link to his channels in the description of my video. Russ, what can the people be looking forward to seeing from you here soon?
Sunday afternoons, we do a live stream talking about the game from the prior weekend, and I am cooking up a pre-recorded video that I will drop if some certain events happen. That's all I'll say. You can all speculate what that's going to be, but I'm working on a really fun video that I'm going to put up.
Does it involve a belly roll?
It might. I might
have to do one too.
So I'm putting together a really nice and fun video that would drop at some point. So keep an eye out if that pops, and make sure you guys share it, check it out, like it, do all that fun thing so we can get it going. But really appreciate all of it. And Gennaro, can you give us some hints? It's so easy. You don't even have to think about it, guys. You don't have to think about it. Just don't think about it and you're good. But yeah, appreciate you guys. Love the support. Love getting to hang out every Wednesday night with all you guys in the chat. And we'll do it again next Wednesday, celebrating a victory against Utah.
Yeah. Let's hope it's a really strong showing here from the Buffs and Kansas. This could, and we didn't even talk about this. This could be a trap game coming up because of Kansas, but I think this team's locked and ready to go. They know what's out at stake. Let's see them kill it this week. Guys, I'll be back tomorrow with some content. And you guys know I go live after every game, so you can catch me live right after the Buffs hopefully knock down the Utah Utes, and we move to 8-2. Until next time, guys, go Buffs.